Hi, welcome to Vegan Finds, and this is the first episode of Cajun Week. I know you're excited. Takeout week went extremely well. We only had one clunker meal, which we're not going to show you. Sadly, neither Doris nor I could agree as to which part of the dish we actually liked, and if we can't agree on a dish, we don't present it because somebody's going to be disappointed. So, what is Cajun Week and what it is about? It's about basically, the foods of New Orleans, that beautiful city on the bayou. It's a great food city. If you have a chance to visit there, absolutely. You won't be disappointed. The food is fantastic there. So, what is unique about the Cajun and Creole style cooking is the Holy Trinity. So, in French cooking, you have onions, celery, and carrots. In Cajun cooking, you have onions, celery, green bell pepper. Now, the dishes are normally thickened with a roux, which is a flour and fat-based mixture. We're going to kind of turn that one a little bit on its head, obviously because we're gluten-free, so that makes a big difference. And so you're wondering, what are you cooking today? What are you cooking for? Well, not for you, but for me, and hopefully you'll cook it for somebody else. And this is going to be a sausage and mushroom etouffee. And this is basically etouffee means to smother, and in essence what we're going to be doing is smothering some sausage and mushrooms in an absolutely delicious Cajun sauce. And so in order to start this, I'm using the Beyond Meat sausages, so I'm actually going to cook those first, and then we're going to have to make a roux. So in order to make a roux, what you have to do is normally you cook flour and a fat together until over low heat until it starts to change colors. I'm going to show you a slightly different method, just simply because we're using gluten-free flour, so I have no idea if it's going to work. B, we don't have the time to make a traditional roux here right now, so we're going to do a cheetah roux, as I like to call it. Obviously, I got my veggies set up. Now it's time to start cooking off the sausages, because you're going to want to cook them and slice them up to put them into the pan for the etouffeeing. Okay, so in my pan I got my sausages ready to go. They're cooking. I'm going to let them cook all the way through. Once they're cooked through, I'm going to slice them up. So I'll be back once these are done, and I'll show you how to make the roux. Okay, so our sausages are nicely browned, and I'm going to take them off right now and start the next part of our dish, which is making the roux. Alright, so to my pan I'm adding 1/3 of a cup of gluten-free flour, and we just want this to start to cook, as it were, to brown up a little bit. And you want to basically make sure you keep stirring this, because you don't want it to burn, because that will just basically ruin the roux, as it were. I have this on a really kind of low setting because I'm terrified of burning the roux. If my wife weren't gluten-free, this would be a hell of a lot easier, but she is, so we're experimenting here. I can actually start to smell it's cooking, and it's slowly changing some color here. And once it does, I'm going to take some Chickenless chicken stock, And you'll notice I'm not adding any additional salt to this dish, simply because the sausages have plenty of salt in them already. I'm using the Immersion no chicken broth. I don't know how much sodium that has. It actually doesn't have that much. I might just turn the heat up just a notch more. But it's starting to turn a very light tan color. They would call this blonde. And there are all sorts of distinctions. There's almost one that is a black color. But leave that to the professionals, I think. So I'm about ready to add my liquid to this to cook it further, because this is basically going to be like a thickening agent. I mean, you cook the flour because you don't want that flour taste to it, and normally speaking you'd add a fat to this because the flour and the fat go together like Schlemizel and Schlemazel, Haas and Pfeffer Incorporated. So smells good. That much I can tell you. It's picked up a little bit of the essence of the sausage as well, which is another reason why I didn't bother wiping out the pan, because you're just adding a layer of flavor to this, and that's important when you're cooking. It's trying to layer flavor using similar components in different ways to kind of enhance each other over time. So I'm going to let this cook a little bit longer, and I'll be back. Okay, so the flour is ready to have the stock added to it, so I'm going to slowly add a little bit of stock in here. Oh, it smells so good. Now you can see it's got quite a few lumps here. Hopefully I can whisk this out. If for some reason you can't whisk it out, you could put it in a blender or use an immersion blender. I may have to do that, I'm not 100% sure. I'm actually going to shut this off the heat, take it off. Thought I had a rubber spatula here that would help me. But basically you want this to be smooth. Which I will get it to. And then we're going to take this out and we're going to just set it aside until we're ready. But this is obviously going to be the etouffee part of our dish once we've got the vegetables cooking. So I'll be back in a moment to show you how to put the rest of this together, and then we can eat. Okay, so to my pan I'm adding the onions. Now this is a half of a large onion. But if you have a medium onion, just use a whole medium onion. That'll be easier. Now I just want to sweat these for a little bit. Thank you. Yeah, she doesn't want it. Yeah. And that was all on that. I could. All right, so I've got the onions. We're going to sweat those for a minute or two before we add the peppers and celery. While that's going, I'm going to chop up the mushrooms that we have for this, and I'll be right back. Okay, so the onions have started to brown a little bit. Now I'm going to add our green pepper and our celery. I'm going to sweat that. So the Holy Trinity is in. Hank, stop it please. Sorry, my dog is trying to get in the trash. So we got that going. I'm going to start. Okay, so you can see our veggies have sweat themselves to a nice soft consistency. So I'm gonna take my halved mushrooms. This one obviously I forgot to half. That one's half. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just kind of dispense these around, let them cook down a little bit, and then I'm gonna cover the pan for about 4 to 5 minutes because we want these to be nice and cooked down. This dish is barely going to fit in this pan. So while I do that, I'm going to chop up some garlic cloves because that's going to go in next and get my spices ready. So I'm going to cover this up. I'll be back in a moment. So you can see that the mushrooms have started to release their liquid. They're going to cook. These have been cooking for 4 minutes. I think they need another minute or so longer. So I'm going to let them cook a little bit longer. Instead of using cloves, garlic cloves, and mashing them up because I just don't have the time, I'm taking a teaspoon of garlic powder and I'm just adding it to this. So the other spice ingredients that we're going to be adding, I got cayenne pepper, some smoked paprika. I got a half a teaspoon of cayenne, a half a teaspoon of smoked paprika, a half a teaspoon of basil, and a teaspoon of thyme. Something I don't have much of right now, so that's why I'm kind of making a few shortcuts. You know, it's one of those days where the day gets away from you. So, and this is really starting to come together. It smells good. Okay, so now I'm going to add the roux back into the pan. Okay, get as much of that out as I can. I did use the immersion blender to smooth it out. Worked great. Obviously you can see it's nice and thick. And so now I'm going to add the spices plus a teaspoon of tamari. Okay, so in goes my tamari. You may be wondering why I'm adding that. And that's just to add another layer of umami flavor to this. Plus, it lets me add some additional salt to this without actually adding any salt. So the next part is the sliced sausages, which I'm going to add right now. Okay, so in go the last of the sausages. And I'm just going to stir this. If the sauce is too thick for you, you can always add a little bit of stock to this or a little bit of additional water. But you can see why they call it etouffee. and why etouffee means smothered, because this stuff is smothered. So I'm going to let this cook for about, I would say, 10 minutes more, and then we're going to serve it over rice. I'm going to sprinkle some scallions on top, because green onions are super popular in Cajun cooking as a finishing piece. Excuse me, I'm losing my train of thought because this smells so damn good. So I got my pan covered. I'm going to cook this now for about, I'm going to say 10 minutes. I would check on it at 8 if because the plant-based sausage is already basically cooked. You don't want it to disintegrate though, so check it after 8. It's probably done, I'm sure of it, but better to be on the safe side. So I'll be back, show you the final product. Okay folks, there you have it, the etouffee in all its bubbling goodness. I'm going to put it on a little bowl of yellow rice. This is what you call smothered. Smothered. Little sprinkle here. And there you have it. Sausage and mushroom etouffee, vegan, gluten-free, good for you. So, if you like these recipes, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a message, I should say a comment, and give us a thumbs up. We love those thumbs up. So, we hope you'll be back. Enjoy, and sayonara.